John Cena is back in the WWE, and I gotta say, he looks good, right? Money in the Bank 2021 is in the books. We are back here with a review. We've actually really never left. I've been up here for the past several hours doing a live reaction of the show. Thank you to everyone who's been here throughout the night. It's been really fun watching Money in the Bank. We knew we were going to get some sort of a big surprise. That surprise turned out to be John Cena. Overall, I think the pay-per-view was very good. It might have been a little bit less than my expectations of it, but it was still a really solid show. Even a match with a bad or a maybe like unpopular outcome, like the women's title match, was still a really good match. And I thought, there was a lot of great things on the show with the Money in the Bank winners. Happy with both of them, two baby faces, which is really interesting that they did that, but made me very happy. And, the in-between stuff and all the other matches was pretty decent as well, and we had a blast watching it. So thank you if you have been here with us all night. I am here to now do a review and try to get into podcast mode here. Unfortunately, my notes are pretty light because I wasn't taking many of them. I was mostly interacting with all of you guys. So we're going to go mostly just based on my memory and what we've got, what are the few things that I have written down for the show. So I am going to cruise over here to the chat because I took a little bit of a break, like a 4-minute break, to kind of get myself recentered and open up a cold beverage. So cheers to fans being back officially. They returned on Friday night with a really great SmackDown episode, and tonight's pay-per-view was pretty damn good, I have to say. And we had that nice big return at the end, and we had two very satisfying Money in the Bank winners, and I'm excited at the possibilities of both. So I think overall it gives us a ton of stuff to talk about here. And we'll get into all the business and see what you guys thought. But hello to Roy, and Lil Soy is here as well. We've got Metalhead is back, Mike McGee, Trey Williams, Storm Stop is here. I want to say hi to everybody else that just kind of is getting here that might not have been here for the watch along. Naveed, David, Trey, Barry, Jay Hammer, HTK, Stone Cold, Jay Lambo, Sunny Man. It's going to take me forever to get through these, but I did do a bunch of shout-outs earlier on, and like I said, it was fun to react to this. Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, WrestleManias, pay-per-views like that are really fun to do live reactions for here on YouTube. But we're going to go through the card match by match here. I want you guys to hit me with your grades in the chat. What would you give it? 0 out of 10, A, B, C, or D? Let me know where you would rank the show. If I have to make a guess, if I'm trying to rank the show, I'm going to go like 7.5 and give it like a B minus, I guess. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe some people give it an A. Maybe I'm undershooting it there. Like I said, there was a couple of sloppy matches, like the opener and stuff. But overall, the matches, I think, were really good. And like I said, the winners were very satisfying. Kind of surprised they pulled the trigger on Nikki Ash that quick. Thought she would have to build up her superhero status before, actually winning the title or getting an opportunity at the title. I thought she could have some story to tell with Alexa Bliss before any of that happened. So the fact that they gave it to her here in a brilliant way, I don't think it's a finish that we've seen yet, although I have no idea. But you had, I think, about 6 women, everybody except Alexa Bliss, who was literally buried under a stack of ladders. They're all battling on the top of the 3 ladders or whatever under the briefcase, and they're all scrapping with each other. And Nikki Cross just comes right in the ring, scrambles right up the ladder in the middle of everybody, and that's mine. What a good finish. It's one I hadn't seen before, and I thought was pretty cool. F+ from Charlie. Jesus, man. Most people giving it a B. I think B is fair. I think an A might be stretching it, but Cena winning, probably put the show over the top for a lot of folks. He looked good, he was out there with his hair. I don't know what to make of that hair. Every guy has that hairstyle now. It's like, Jesus, it's everywhere. You can't get away from it unless you're bald like me. So him coming out there was a pretty good way to end the show, especially since, Roman says everybody must acknowledge me or whatever, and that's one guy that might have a little bit of an issue with that, along with others, like possibly The Rock, like we might see. So if Roman humbles Cena first on his road to an eventual match with his cousin, that's going to be some interesting, are you going to acknowledge me shit when that finally goes down on television and stuff. So all in all, this sets up great possibilities. This sets up a really fun SummerSlam. I'm ready. I'm going to be in Vegas, and if you guys are going, let me know. We're probably going to try to do some sort of a hangout somewhere on Friday night prior to the show, or maybe even Saturday before the show. I want to see some good shit on that show. So John Cena and Roman Reigns will be interesting because this is a completely different John Cena and Roman Reigns than it was before. So now that Cena is back, we'll see what happens. We know he's got the movie that he's starting to film in Europe, which is next month. That's going to, overlap or something with this SummerSlam appearance. So that kind of makes it seem like it's possible this could be a one-off, or maybe a match to where he goes, does the movie, comes back late in the year to set up for WrestleMania time, because I would love to see John Cena come back for a little bit longer than just one match just to help fill a stadium or whatever and then get out. So if anything, come back, do something, go do the movie, leave a cliffhanger, come back after you do the movie and tie up those loose ends, or head into Mania season with those loose ends, something like that. But I think a SummerSlam to Mania run for Cena with a handful of scattered appearances between now and then would be a nice, healthy return for him. And then he can go off and do his shit and turn into the Rock 2.0 again and come back in a couple of more years. But, excuse me, I'm happy to see him back, and just nice that the fans are back in the building and they popped hard. Easily, you guys helped me out. You watched the same show I did, Pop of the Night, right? Did Big E, and help me, I was doing a live reaction, so it's hard to give it my 100% focus. But did Big E grabbing the briefcase beat the pop Cena got at the end? Probably not, but you never know. You never know. Let me knock out a couple of these super chats before we start getting into the results here. Since we got a pretty healthy chat in here, I think we can go ahead and start on the results. Deshaun Robinson, thank you for the $5. John Cena has returned from the Firefly Funhouse, his Seattle Supersonics colors, with the men's Money in the Bank, Raw Women's title, WWE title, and main event B+. I agree. B+ is a fair rating. I wasn't sure what John Cena was rocking. It was like John Deere. It reminded me of John Deere. But it also, I thought it might have been kind of similar to what the Dallas Stars wear. Celtics kind of, but I don't recall Celtics having bright yellow like that. So he was out there wearing some interesting shit, but he's another guy that he really has a difficult time aging. So the only thing that gave it away when he took his hat off and he had that ridiculous haircut. But other than that, I'm like, God, he looked like John Cena. He looked exactly the same way he did 11 years ago, which is just insane. So good to see John Cena back. That put a smile on my face, just because I feel like we're in this new era of getting away from the pandemic, hopefully. Like I said before, we have another one. But at least for right now, it's kind of nice just to have normal life back, and seeing Cena again in front of a packed wrestling crowd is just something we haven't seen in a few years. So it ain't all bad. I was happy with his return. Should be an interesting SmackDown on Friday. They're going to replay the shit out of that tomorrow night on Raw, even though it's not their show. We're going to see John Cena's return at least 11 times in tomorrow's 3-hour telecast. Super Fluffy Toaster, thank you for the $10, man. Glad you're here. Funny how in 2012, myself and others were writing John's LOL Cena wins after every pay-per-view, but we all now pop for his return. Crazy how things have changed. That's been what I've been talking about for the better part of a decade here on this channel. I was saying it right from the very beginning. The minute everybody started jumping on Cena's case, I'm like, you guys don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're mad at. You're directing your anger in the wrong place. You have no fucking clue how to manage your emotions, and you're all a bunch of idiots. And there's going to come a time where you're going to appreciate what John Cena gave you. You're going to yearn for a time when he was around. But when he was around, he was a cancer, and he ruined wrestling and all that. I'm like, you fuckers are going to change your tune. I guarantee you. And, of course, they are. As they do with everybody, But John Cena, he had value, and you can't not know how to wrestle and be nominated for Match of the Year every single active year you've participated. It doesn't work that way. So I think John Cena, while there's definitely gaping huge holes and problems with his booking from time to time, who he was as a performer was unique and different, and I wasn't anti-Cena really at all. If anything, I was anti how WWE pushed Cena more than anything, and I really think at the end of the day, that's the crux of a lot of it. Fans just don't know how to direct that anger. So when Roman was being shoved down our throats, when Charlotte is getting 56 title wins inside of the span of 5 years, it pisses the fans off to where they start attacking the person. And just start verbally attacking Charlotte. They actually probably go to bed tonight wishing these people would die because they're so goddamn stupid. They don't understand how, they don't understand that it's this old man, it's Vince, it's a stupid, crazy WWE machine that doesn't know how to book its way out of anything. That is the real problem here, and not the performers who are fucking professionals. Roman and Charlotte, with their bloodlines, they should be the people you want in the top spots. But every time WWE starts going in a certain direction where it's perceived as they are shoving people in your faces or down your throats or up your ass, fans lose their minds, get pissed, go nuts. So I think at the end of the day, they will kind of see that as they get older and wiser and they look back at how dumb they were. They'll realize that, and they're realizing it now for John Cena, which is what I said from the fucking very beginning. But anyway, Mike McGee, 7 out of 10. Fair. The glitches were a pain. That's right. We will be talking about that. Thanks for bringing that up. And remind me if I forget to talk about it later because I don't have it in my notes. But Peacock fucked up tonight. Sad Becky didn't appear. Charlotte flipping off the fans was hilarious. Cena looks like Ernest. Happy for Big E. That's a lot of information there in that comment. But I agree pretty much completely. Cena looked weird. I had to run out during the Charlotte stuff. So when I came back, everybody in the chat was saying that there was a blackout because apparently Charlotte went to flip off the fans and WWE tried to black it out and they failed and we saw it. So I missed that, didn't see it. Sad Becky didn't appear, but don't worry, she will. And I think she'll probably be on the SmackDown brand because I expect her and Seth to be together. Very, very, very happy for Big E. And the glitches were hilarious, but they were a pain in the ass as well. Luckily for us, at least for me, I made it all the way through the end of the Rhea Ripley-Charlotte match, and then it started glitching out. So the only thing really that I missed, or we missed collectively, was what I'm sure was a pretty hilarious backstage skit with Nakamura and Boogs and Riddle, and we missed virtually all of the entrances. And after a while, people started saying their Peacock was working. I gave it a refresh. It was fine, didn't screw up again. So I think it was a problem with the servers. They had a lot of traffic for this show because WWE did a good job hyping it. SummerSlam's probably going to be the same. So I think it crashed a little bit and made it difficult, but luckily, at the end of the day, at least we didn't lose the finish of a match. This could have happened at the end of the show here with Cena coming out. Imagine that if we had that pixely crap, that interrupty, glitchy, twitchy, spazzy programming when John Cena's coming out there and confronting Roman Reigns. How bad would that suck? So at least we didn't miss anything major. They didn't take an entire match away from us. All we lost was a backstage skit and 8 meaningless entrances. So it started working by the time we got to the match, and that's all that mattered. So yes, it was an embarrassing glitch. Yes, I don't think there's a single person in the world that prefers Peacock over the WWE network. WWE took the payoff here, and they've given us one shitty fucking platform to have to deal with now. But would you expect anything less from them? Is what benefits the fans really their number one priority? Of course not. We're like the 9th priority, if that. So I'm not even surprised, but hopefully this is not going to be a recurring thing because with the WWE Network, I actually had a pretty good amount of success with it. In the 7 years I had it, maybe 1 or 2 times I can remember I, had some buffering issues or something, but for the most part, it was fine. So tonight, within minutes too, Peacock was trending. So it's not like they don't know about this. They have pissed off the wrong group of motherfuckers. We ain't Frasier fans. We're not Seinfeld fans. We are wrestling fans. And if somebody's Frasier won't work on Peacock, I'm sure they'll just be okay. But when you start fucking up pay-per-views, you are asking for trouble. You don't want none of these people. You do not want wrestling fans as your enemy because they're all out of their mind. And they coming for you, Peacock. So get your act together and don't let this happen again. Because next time, we might not be so lucky for it to happen just, at the during a bunch of entrances or whatever. Ellsworth Crosby, thanks for the $3. What was that bigger than the Triple H return pop? That's a question for you guys. I mean, I was watching it, but I'm also streaming and reading and doing all this stuff. It's probably close. It's tough. I don't know how you can possibly top that Triple H pop, though. I mean, you can only jump so high. You can only scream so loud. So I almost think like Triple H might be the unmatchable pop, one that's you just physically can't get louder than with that amount of people. But I don't know. Somebody do them side by side. We'll judge it. Very interesting. The good thing about that is it's, you can listen to it and kind of determine it yourself. All right, I think I knocked out the super chats that I've got there. Hopefully I'm not missing anybody else. Antoine, I did miss you earlier on. $2. That, sir, is an effing pop. That's exactly what I said. I think that was my exact words. That crowd went nuts. All right, so we got all that out of the way. We can start talking about the actual show now. And I'm going to just kind of go by my quick hit notes here that I have, and we'll try to elaborate more as we go through, and I'll do my best to remember stuff. But I'm kind of, I don't often do the live reaction review combos. So my notes are a little bit less detailed than they would normally be. But anyway, on the kickoff show, we had the tag team title match that was announced that this was going to be on the kickoff. So me and my overconfident ways just obnoxiously predicted that Mysterios are going to win. The Usos aren't going to win on the fucking kickoff. Why would they do that? They should save the Usos winning the tag team titles for SmackDown so they can do it on Fox and maybe help get a better rating, or, you know, just put something on the card that, or something on the show that would be a major thing happening, instead of changing the titles on a show where a whole bunch of shit is going to go down. Potentially a title change or two new briefcase winners, a big surprise, a big return. You'd forget all about the tag title switching if you did it here. So since it's on the kickoff, have the Mysterios go over, and like WWE loves to do, and which I bet they will still do on SmackDown, they will book a rematch. And they'll do a rematch on SmackDown. Usos will get another crack, put it in the main event, have them beat the Mysterios in the main event of SmackDown, have Roman come out to celebrate with them with the bloodline holding up all the gold, and the show goes off the air. That's what you do. I was so sure of that. And I was wrong. They had a hell of a match, by the way. Great tag team match. And in the end, the Usos got the win. I think it was Jimmy kind of took the bullet for Jay with the 619, allowing Jay to turn the tables and pin Ray, I think, or maybe pin Dominic. I don't remember. But at the end, Usos are now your umpteenth time WWE Tag Team Champions, SmackDown this time. And after the match, they took the belts back to Roman and showed him, and he was happy for him, but he was almost like, you know, a little bit resistant, like, I'm still the one that does all the leg work. Yeah, good job. You won the tag team titles, but that kind of thing. So he kind of acknowledged that he was happy for him. They were both just gargling his balls. It was almost pathetic to watch. But in the end, you know, he stood with his cousins, and now they got all that gold, and that's a pretty awesome sight, and we're going to get that now on SmackDown in those promos. It's going to look pretty good. So in the end, I'm happy with the Usos winning the titles, but I still think that would have been better on SmackDown. And when I say I'm happy with the Usos winning the titles, this is not including my feelings on the Jimmy Uso situation and the DUI and what I think WWE should do and what I think they should not do. But I will say this on Jimmy Uso, because I saw a lot of comments about this tonight, and we talked about it in the chat. A lot of people are like, oh, this is fucked up that they're now giving him title for getting a DUI. So basically, if you want to be champion in WWE, you need to go out and get a DWI. No, that's not what it means. And I know on the surface it seems that way, but just dive a little bit deeper into it. First of all, who's to say your push on TV is the only way to punish you? Who's to say this guy didn't have the come to Jesus meeting of a lifetime backstage where they said, look, motherfucker, one more screw up. I mean, you are on the thinnest of ices, double secret probation. We're going to fine you. We're going to put a knock on your wellness policy, even though it's not in the terms. You know, you've had too many of these. Who's to say something hasn't happened backstage that has taken the place of what an on-air punishment would be? Because the problem with Jimmy Uso going out and doing that is that if you punish him directly, like suspend him, take him off TV or whatever, you are then by default also harming your top storyline in the company. Throwing a monkey wrench into that, fucking up Roman shit, fucking up Jay's shit, especially when it's the only storyline that you really put any thought and effort into. You've got everything really invested into it. You don't want to screw that up. So if you suspend Jay or whatever, when they haven't suspended for DUIs before, it's just this is so many of them, it's getting a little bit ridiculous. Maybe WWE felt there were better ways to deal with that so they could keep this particular storyline going. And yes, him being a family member of Roman Reigns helps his situation. If this was anybody else, if this guy was on NXT working in the second match, he'd be fired. He would have been fired the day it happened if he got 4 of these things. You know, but this is a different situation. And, you know, life and business and situation is not always fair. And a lot of situations are looked at, judged, and treated completely differently. So if Jimmy would have been punished, that could, not that you couldn't have gone right back to what they were doing before without him with Jay, but now that Jimmy is there, he's a big part of that. And they probably want the Usos as a tag team force in that bloodline group, and it's better to have him there. So I'm actually in the probably very small minority that is okay with Jimmy maintaining his spot on the roster, but I'm just hoping that this whole thing hasn't just gone completely just ignored by WWE. Yep, do what you want. I have a hard time believing that. I'm more willing to believe that there's some serious remorse and probably fear on Jimmy's side. He's probably got a ton of heat in the locker room. His own damn family's probably not too thrilled with him. So he's probably got a lot to deal with. He's not getting out of this completely scot-free. You know, just because he's still on TV doesn't mean nothing else happened. And I think that's what the fans at least have to consider, that it's not all about just what's directly in front of you. You know, there could be other things at play, and WWE might have found a better way to punish him to where it doesn't screw up what they're doing on TV. You know, but that's not always been the case either. You know, Rob Van Dam got pulled over for weed. He was the champion. They took the belt right the fuck off of him. So this just shows the true power of Roman Reigns and that whole storyline and stuff. So it's, you know, it's controversial, you know, so to speak, but I think there's more than one way to punish somebody. And I think it doesn't always have to be a push. So I don't know. We haven't heard any backstage news on that, so I have no idea, but that's just kind of my 2 cents on Jimmy Uso now that he is a champion once again. After that, we opened with the main show. Pretty nice video package there and everything. They welcome us to Fort Worth, jacked crowd. They're going nuts, and we're going to open up with the women's Money in the Bank match. Of course, this is Nikki Ash, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Liv Morgan, Naomi, Natalya, Tamina, and Zelina Vega. So they all make their entrances there. This might have been one of the weaker women's Money in the Bank matches. We've had, I want to say we've had 4. This is the 4th. First 2 with Carmella, then Asuka, which didn't even really count last year. So technically, this is only really the 3rd one, unless there's one I'm forgetting, that's happened in the actual ring in front of people. And it wasn't the best. It was pretty sloppy. They had some, you know, some mishaps here and there in the match, and it was, you know, not the best. But I am very happy with the outcome. Alexa Bliss was the most interesting one here. She was the one I picked to win this match, even though I said I really wanted Liv Morgan to win, and Nikki Cross should be the one who should win. Liv's who I wanted to win, but Alexa's who I thought would win. So I picked Alexa. So she comes out there first. She's the first one to enter, and she stands up on the second rope, kind of drapes her leg over the top, and just stands there just completely still like a statue while everybody makes their entrances. And they even begin the match with her still kind of standing there. So she's kind of, you know, taking her time getting into the match. The women are fighting, doing their thing, doing their spots. Finally, she gets involved a little bit, and she's giving offense. She's taking offense. And, you know, a couple of sloppy spots, but, you know, some fun dives and shit like that. So anyway, we kind of get, all I remember really is we kind of get near the match, and all of the women kind of corner Alexa Bliss on the outside of the ring. They start beating her down. They throw her down, and they start burying her under ladders. So she's completely neutralized now. I thought for sure she would try to magic or, you know, hocus pocus her way out of this. By the way, earlier on, there was a spot where she was climbing up the ladder with Zelina Vega, and it was so stupid because she gets all the way to the top, and people were saying, even I was saying in the live reaction, I'm like, you know, why doesn't Alexa Bliss just hypnotize the entire field here? Just paralyze everybody, climb up and get the briefcase. She's done it before. Why can't she just do it right here? So sure enough, they actually did do a hypnotist spot with Zelina Vega, where they're both on the top of the ladder reaching for the briefcase, and Alexa just stares at her, and Zelina's entranced and then just starts mimicking what Alexa Bliss is doing. But she's got Zelina frozen. So I just like, Alexa, just grab, you're just standing there. The briefcase is 1 foot away from your forehead. Just grab it. And and then she starts climbing down the ladder, and Zelina climbs down, and then Alexa scrambles back up and tries to get it, and somebody stops her. I think it's Natalya. So that was kind of a silly spot, but you were wondering if they were going to try to do any magic tricks with Alexa Bliss. So in the end, she gets buried under the ladder, And then we have the other 7 women, or the other 6 women except for Nikki Cross, or Nikki Ash. Nikki Ash is on the outside of the ring somewhere. Alexa is buried under the ladders. And the other 6 women are on 3 ladders in the middle of the ring, battling with each other up really near the briefcase. They're all getting a chance to touch it. They're swatting it. It's swinging. They're all fighting with each other. Nikki Ash, out of nowhere, crawls underneath the bottom rope, scrambles up the ladder while everybody's fighting with each other, and right in the middle of everybody, just grabs it and unhooks the briefcase. I thought it was a pretty fun finish. Kind of different. I don't recall something like that happening, but it might have. But I thought it was a pretty creative finish and perfect for Nikki Cross. She just, amongst all of the fighting, she just quietly reaches up there and grabs it. And she was very happy, and she was celebrating. It was just all over her face, just pure joy. She just has unmatched enthusiasm, and I couldn't be happier for anybody on the roster than her. And not to sound like a cynic at all, because that's the last thing I want to do, but I think that it was almost like a hair too early for her. I know it sounds crazy, but if she's almost a superhero, which is almost ridiculous that they think that the WWE, or the WWE thinks that the fans can't handle 2 crosses in the company, because they look exactly like Karrion and Nikki, and the fans will get them confused or something. This is how dumb they think we are. So they are now going to change Nikki Cross's name to Nikki Ash, or almost a superhero. So I kind of thought on TV what they would do is kind of have her keep trying to be a full superhero, trying to graduate to superhero dumb, or whatever the fuck it's called. And then eventually getting there, having some highs and lows. Because she hasn't even had time to run with this. When did she come out as Zorro? 4 weeks ago? So, she's just started this shit. And, now she's got the briefcase already. Great. It's about time you did something with Nikki. But it's like, damn, I would have started the hero shit like 3 months ago and then built to this instead of doing it right now. So now I feel like she's got the briefcase almost a little bit too early. But I think she can also make it fun, because biding her time and all of that could be really fun. And I guess that will be her true graduating moment when she wins the title, because I think, here's my early prediction on the briefcases. Both will be successfully cashed in. I don't think either one fails. And so when Nikki does it, I think that will be her officially becoming a superhero. This is ridiculous that I'm saying this out of my mouth. So I think that, and we'll all be super happy for her. I will. I'll be crying tears of joy when she finally becomes a superhero, and she's got the women's title that she's long since earned, that's finally come her way. But, again, I'm very happy. We're all very happy for Nikki, but what gives WWE? Why just now are you oh, Nikki Cross, this great piece of talent that we've literally been doing nothing with, treated like an invisible person when she's one of the most valuable women we could ever ask to have employed here? And we're just going to ignore her forever, pretend she doesn't even exist, and we don't even know why we're paying her, and then throw a fucking Zorro mask on her, and 4 weeks later she's the Money in the Bank winner. Okay, but damn, it just really feels like they just fly by the seat of their pants thing. So as quickly as they can start something, they can take it away. So let's just hope that whatever goes down with Nikki Cross or Nikki Ash, they actually follow through with it. She becomes a champion, and she has some sort of a healthy run. But I can already feel she'll cash in, and then Alexa will take the belt from her, kind of thing, unless she hops brand, she could jump over to SmackDown or something, but something tells me they're going to do Nikki Ash and Alexa Bliss stuff, because they're 2 wackaloons, man. The 2 of them, they're 2, they're both equally batshit, but from completely different directions, and that can make magic. So we'll see if they continue that with them, or if, she jumps, but Nikki going over there and cashing in on Bianca Belair doesn't seem like that's even close to likely. Her cashing in on Charlotte, however, not only becoming a superhero, winning the title, but beating the cornerstone of the entire division. That's what I'm rooting for. So way to go, Nikki Ash, winning the women's Money in the Bank match. Let me knock out 2 more of these super chats before we get to the tag team title match, which is up next. I saw them coming in. I just don't want to get too far behind on those. Michael Kumo, good to see you. Appreciate the $2 from you. Is Bloodline the name of the stable? I think so. That's what I'm calling them. I hope it is. WWE Fan 22, welcome back. Thank you for covering my Peacock costs this month and for the great super chat. Greg, how's it going? Haven't watched a WWE pay-per-view since this year's WrestleMania. Took a break from watching the product, you probably mean. I'm stoked to hear Big E won the Money in the Bank. Yes, every now and then you need some time off. It's cool you did watch WrestleMania because WrestleMania was good, but the Thunderdome era is one that I will never go back and watch as long as I live. Unless WWE shows me a replay, I will never actively go back and rewatch a pay-per-view or show from this era. I won't do it. Even if the show was good, I will not do it. I can't. So no review will ever come on my channel. Even if you pay for it, I'm not doing it. So, it's you did the right thing taking a break. Now you can come back when the fans are jacked and hot. And, like we said, we have two great Money in the Bank winners, Big E being one of them. I'm happy for him, too. Knock out just a couple more, and then we're on to the next match. Mike McGee, I believe you're next. Rumors of the Goldberg returning tomorrow. How do you feel with him against Lashley instead of Lesnar? Also, where the hell's Randy Orton? Is he hurt? I don't think Randy Orton's hurt. I think he's just absent to have this program with Riddle play out. Goldberg tomorrow, though, I like the idea, but it's not going to happen now of Cena coming out and challenging Lashley. That would be great for Lashley, considering they wrestled 14 years ago for the title, and Cena beat him, and that would be a good feather in his cap. But you can all but guarantee Goldberg's going to come back unless WWE actually took the time to read and notice the negative response to that news being leaked, and they've decided to maybe change it, but that ain't the WWE style. Vince is so fucking oblivious to any of that stuff. He's just going to do it. So all we can hope for as fans, we just have to give in to our masters and our leaders and just pray that Bill Goldberg doesn't win the title. What else can you do other than be a loud asshole on Twitter? It's like our only options. So just don't put the belt on him, and it's something I could at least bear. Joey's Adventures, appreciate $5 from you. With the exception of Finn, it looks like WWE is focusing on bringing back legends first and will bring back current stars in August. Feels that way. We'll see. We got a lot of current stars still outstanding with, Sasha Banks and The Fiend and, I don't know, help me out, a bunch of others. So, yeah, there's a lot of big returns kind of in the works, and I think we're going to see a lot in the next several weeks, and especially leading into SummerSlam. So it's going to be a fun month. Appreciate 2 more from you, Mike Maxon. Charlotte is a legend already. Yeah, she is. Just don't say that on Twitter. Have everybody freak out and fling their feces at you, because that's what they'll do. What match was next? That's right. The Raw Tag Team titles were up next. AJ Styles and Omos defending against the Viking Raiders. No way in hell the Viking Raiders were going to win this. AJ and Omos all the way. Not much to say about that match. I was just hamming it up and chatting with you guys. I was barely watching it. Viking Raiders lost. I will guarantee you they will do a rematch tomorrow night. I just feel like they'll do a rematch tomorrow night. Hopefully the Viking Raiders will lose again, and then maybe they'll just turn heel. For some reason tonight, they showed a replay of like the competition they were having with the Street Profits. So I hope they're not going to go back to start doing goofy shit with the Viking Raiders. At this time, I'd turn them into killers and let Randy Orton and Riddle battle it out with AJ and Omos and win the titles. Maybe you can do that at SummerSlam. And then in the process, have Viking Raiders turn heel, let them be a good heel team, a little bit vicious, and have them be the ones to take the titles off of Riddle and Orton. That's what I'd do. So we'll see. But anyway, that match was largely skippable, largely filler, and largely a match we're probably going to see again tomorrow. After that, we got the WWE title match. Bobby Lashley defending against Kofi Kingston. They did in this match exactly what I was hoping they would do. We talked about it yesterday. I'm like, look, it's not realistic for a pay-per-view like this for these fans to be back to go out there and give the fans a 5-second match. You can't have Lashley do to Kofi what Brock did to Kofi. Not for this crowd, not on this night. But it does need to be a type of victory that's virtually a squash. It needs to be a definitive, decisive victory where there is no doubt in your mind who the winner of this match was, and they did it. They gave it exactly what I asked for. I'm like, Kofi can have a little offense, a couple of flurries, but for the most part, it's Lashley completely dominating him, 100% focused, swatting away any offense attempted by Kofi, and in the end, tapping him out to the Hurt Lock. Essentially, that's what we saw, but even a little bit more brutal than I was expecting. because he hit him, I think, with like 3 dominators. Just had Kofi laid out, sprawled out, dead on the mat. He could have just rolled him over and pinned him. Kofi was virtually unconscious, but he picked him up and he put him in the hurt lock anyway. Kofi didn't give up. Kofi was dead. He lost via dead. So the referee just saw Kofi's lifeless body, rang the bell, that's it. And Lashley retained in the exact way he should have. Shout out to Kofi Kingston's Skeletor tights and the He-Man logo on his ass. That looked great. But it was not to be tonight. So Lashley did Lashley did what he was supposed to do, and I'm happy. Barry MK, no, I have not seen Bobby's Twitter. He asks, who's next? So there you go. There's your double main for the Summerfest. We're going to get Bob and Bill and John and Roman. Okay, why not? WWE fan, thanks for the $2. Cena versus Goldberg. Book it. We never did get Cena versus Goldberg, did we? 2010 Cena and 898 Goldberg is a dream match? Yeah, probably would be. You throw 86 Hogan in there, and we got ourselves a party. Oh, man. All right. So Lashley retains. Next match up is the Raw Women's title. Charlotte Flair challenging Rhea Ripley. I almost said defending. Challenging champion Rhea Ripley. This was a phenomenal match. I wasn't sure. I've been kind of not that enthused with the build and issue between these two women at all. Some of the stuff they did was funny. The crutch fencing popped me. But for the most part, I think this whole thing is a little bit ridiculous. I have no idea who to cheer for. I know it's in the IWC handbook, section 32C, that thou shalt not cheer for Charlotte. So I don't even know who I wanted to win, but Rhea Ripley, I've always liked her, ever since her NXT days. I was extremely high on her when they pushed her hard and she won the NXT title at the end of the year a couple years ago. And then, once she got to the main roster, it was over and she lost the title at WrestleMania 36 and all of that to Charlotte. So, after that, it kind of went away. She kind of had to rebuild and reinvent herself from that. Excuse me. And she has, and I am now starting to kind of get back on the Rhea bandwagon a little bit. But we talked about the possibility of Charlotte yesterday in the predictions, and I was thinking that we would have an Alexa Bliss winner in the Money in the Bank match. So I actually predicted that Charlotte would win the title by cheating, by doing something dastardly, because, who her dad is, and then winning the title. Rhea snaps, goes nuts on Charlotte, wears her out with a chair, beats the hell out of her, does something just to completely decimate her in the middle of the ring, and then Alexa Bliss can come out and cash in. We didn't get that. We had Charlotte winning, but she didn't really cheat. I mean, she kind of did, but she didn't really. It was just a good, brutal match. They beat the shit out of each other all throughout the match. It was really good stuff. A couple of good spots I can remember offhand. I think it was a great DDT counter to the Riptide that just turned Rhea's neck all sideways. Good-looking stuff. I think Charlotte had a moonsault in there somewhere, of course, and everything was just pretty good. It wasn't. It didn't resemble that shitty match with the Phantom Kicks from the Thunderdome a few weeks ago. This was actually really good, and both proved that they are big-time pros, and they work well together. They do have chemistry. If the storytelling was a little bit better between them, I think the matches can be good when the stage is right, and this stage was right. This was a hot crowd. There's a big pay-per-view. Titles on the line here. Big night for Charlotte. So in the end, she's able to lock the figure 8 on Rhea Ripley right in the middle of the ring, and Rhea's got nowhere to go. Prior to that, the figure 8, what she does is they're brawling on the outside of the ring or something, and, they've got those ridiculous ring posts now. They're like the LED ring posts. And they're connected to the ladder, and there's a big gap in there. So Rhea's up on the top of the steps. There's a gap in there. So Rhea's up on top of the steps, and Charlotte kind of grabs her foot and shoves it down the gap. And now Rhea's stuck with her leg down between the ladder and the LED, the steps and the LED ring post. And then Charlotte goes and kicks the steps a few times right into her leg. Rhea sells it like $1 million. Charlotte gets in the ring, and you knew it. Like, I didn't even realize that was going to be the finish until Charlotte got in the ring. As soon as she hit the steps with those 3 kicks, she aggressively got in the ring, and it was like, I was about to say the same thing. I think McAfee said it. It was like a shark that smelled blood, or Jimmy Smith. I was like, it's like a shark that smells blood. She's in there so aggressively. She grabs a hold of Rhea's leg and just wrenches it, slaps on the figure 8, nowhere to go. Rhea has no choice but to tap out. You can see it on her face. She doesn't want to. She's almost like, son of a bitch, and she just starts tapping out like she knows she's got nowhere to go. And somebody in the chat had mentioned earlier that they were like, isn't it ridiculous that Charlotte's finisher is so overly protected? And I'm like, no, it's ridiculous that more finishers aren't overly protected. What they're doing with Charlotte is actually right. The problem with the fans is they just have this such insane hatred for Charlotte. They think the decision to do that is wrong. The decision to do that with one person is wrong. You should do it with a few more. Finishers should be a little bit more protected than they are. But especially nowadays with the amount of, false finishes and kickouts we have and shit like that. So if anything, I'm happy that Charlotte has a protected finisher, because when the day comes, when somebody does break out of that finisher or counter the finisher or get to the ropes or something like that, it should be a big deal. It was like with the perfect plex. I know Hogan was kicking out of it left and right, but nobody kicked out of that perfect plex for a while. And it was a big deal when somebody did. So, when you can build up and do things like that, it will make a great moment when Charlotte does have that big-time match at a WrestleMania, at a big pay-per-view, hopefully not a Raw or a shitty show, but a big-time stage, and the title's on the line, and she's got that figure eight, and whoever she's wrestling is too strong for her and flips her right over or gets right out of it or counters it or something, and then hits Charlotte with a finisher and wins the match. Nobody's ever done that to Charlotte. It'll be a pretty big moment. So I ain't against that. Charlotte is a champion again, so Twitter can use their tears as lube. I'm sure they already have, and I'm sure they're just thrilled with this outcome. But silver lining, Charlotte being champion, I know is not everybody's favorite thing, but at least we got a good match out of it. Because if this match would have sucked and Charlotte won the title, would have made it even harder to swallow. But the pill is a little less jagged now that the fact that they put on a really good match, and I thought it was great. Great performance by both. Kind of like equally good performance by both. How about that suplex spot where Rhea was going to pick up Charlotte for a suplex, kind of like dead weight. She lifted her out of an awkward position, so it was really hard to kind of get her up. And she almost did. She started falling back over, and Charlotte, to her credit, kind of held her end, and Rhea really helped Rhea get her over. And Rhea was able to power her up and hit her with the vertical, and it was amazing feat of strength. So Rhea Ripley is a boss, and she's awesome. So very impressive match. I was actually happy with it. I predicted it right. And Charlotte's got 14 titles. Go cry up your mama's ass. I don't care. Next match up was the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Big E taking on Drew McIntyre, John Morrison, Kevin Owens, Ricochet, Riddle, Seth Rollins, and Shinsuke Nakamura. MVP of this match, hands down, is Ricochet. First of all, he came out there wearing gear, wrestling gear. So he's not going to church with his shirt off. He's actually out there to wrestle. So it was so good to see him having, a vest back on, and he had some short trunks, and he seems to be back in wrestler mode now, which is good. And right off the bat, this guy's tight roping and diving onto a ladder. And I don't know what the spot was. It's hard to remember now, but he did something where he springboarded twice. I think he might have springboarded from the ropes to the ladder and then the ladder to the other rope, and then dove with just a flip onto everybody on the outside of the ring. It looked so good. And he had an early dive too, where he literally flew off my screen. Like the hard cam couldn't keep up with him. Like he just was gone. He's right on the outside of the ring. I mean, all of Twitter and the chat was like, damn, Ricochet. So he was all over this place. He had he had like a Kofi Kingston type of a performance here in this match. And he was great. He even got to the point where I was like, you know what? I wouldn't even hate it if they gave it to him. They gave it to Otis last year. I told you guys earlier, we've all said, and we all know that WWE's brass ring bullshit is just what that is, bullshit. But there are times when there might be an opportunity for a talent to get the crazy psycho old man sitting in the chair, Gorilla, to realize that, damn, why aren't we pushing this guy? Oh, thank you, Captain Schizo, for finally waking up. This guy's pretty good, isn't it? Why, oh yeah. Why aren't we pushing this guy, pal? Like, maybe that happened now. Maybe Vince is sitting in the chair freaking out because he had no idea that Ricochet was this good. Has he always been with us? When did we hire him? Like 5 years ago? What goddamn? Who knows? I think that would be so funny if he kind of got the boss's attention finally and they're going to start doing something with him. But I don't know if we're going to go as far as to see this as a career-changing performance for him or anything like that. It was really only about 3 spots, but it was enough to make you remember him. That's for sure, especially when Ricochet and Morrison were basically completely out of our memories, or our minds, I should say, in terms of winning this match. They weren't on anybody's radar. Nobody was picking them. Neither one were going to win, and we knew it. But Ricochet went out there, and he made his own mark on that match. So did John Morrison. They had the drip argument, the drippage. Who had more drippage between John Morrison and Seth Rollins on the outside of the ring? That was hilarious. I love the drippage. I want more of that. So you had them jaw-jacking with each other on the outside of the ring. That was fun. And we also had Kevin Owens out there, of course, Big E, but Nakamura and Owens, you didn't really feel like we're going to win it. And the other big wild card out there was Drew McIntyre. Now, a lot of people, including myself and a lot of others, we were kind of hoping that what would wind up happening is Jinder Mahal, who's now started this program with Drew and this sword motorcycle toy advertisement thing they got going on. So that's all happening. So if Jinder were to come out and cost Drew or cancel him out some way, that would be a good way to get Drew out of this match without having just to kind of lose it. I guess you don't really lose a Money in the Bank match clean, but you don't kind of lose it on your own. Somebody costs you the match, allowing you to work with that person after the fact. So since he's already started this stuff with Jinder, they seem to be making this a real feud now, and Jinder's backup, Shanky and the other dude, hit the ring during the match. They attack Drew McIntyre. They drag him out. Jinder shows up in the aisle, and they basically just drag Drew away. So they kidnap Drew McIntyre, so he's out of the match. They beat the shit out of him and drag him away, so he's out. So that leaves everybody else. In the end, we all know what happens. The only really major spot that I can remember offhand was Kevin Owens going through the ladder. Pretty sick bump by him that was bridged on the outside of the ring, of course, and he crashed through it. But in the end, Big E was up there all by himself, and you knew it. There was nobody around. I'm like, this is it. And Big E is up there. He unhooks it. Crowd goes nuts. I don't know where it ranks in terms of pop of the night. I'd probably rank it number 2. But the fans were extremely happy, to say the least, for Big E. And I'm like, see, WWE, I hope you notice this. This dude is over. This dude deserves that briefcase, and I don't think Big E is going to fail his cash-in. I don't feel it, And I think Big E right now, the story for Big E is to take that briefcase to Raw tomorrow and cash in on Bobby Lashley or challenge Bobby Lashley to SummerSlam. But no, because my grandpa is going to be on Raw challenging Bobby Lashley for the title instead. But that would be the story. Lashley, went nuts. He dealt with Kofi tonight. You feel like there's even more he could still do because Xavier still picked up that win over him last week. So maybe tomorrow night on Raw, you do something else, one more thing with them for Bobby to get his final act of revenge. Or maybe he comes out this is what you do. You do his victory celebration tomorrow with MVP and Lashley in the ring. And MVP, touts up and brags about how easily he handled Kofi the night before. And then he'll say, but you know what? The champ's got one more regret, one more piece of unfinished business, and that's with you, Xavier Woods. Now, granted, Lashley already killed him in the Hell in the Cell thing, but, Xavier got that roll-up on him, right? So maybe he says, one more time, Xavier Woods, you're going to face Bobby Lashley. He's even going to put the title on the line tonight against you. You're going to get a WWE title shot, Xavier Woods, because you beat the champion last week. So you deserve a title shot. We're going to give you one. And Lashley uses that as a way to get his final piece of revenge on them. And he beats Xavier just as bad as he beats Kofi. Then after the match, Kofi comes in to try to help Xavier. Kofi's still beaten up from the night before. He's not 100%. Lashley fucks them both up. And then Big E's music plays. And Big E comes out to save his boys. And he can either make the save and just dangle the briefcase on Lashley and says, I'm here now. I'm on Raw now. And now you're going to have to worry about this. I don't know if you can do that. Maybe he'll just do a trade. Or he cashes in right there. Or he says, me and you, SummerSlam, I'm cashing in then. Doesn't all that sound really great? So why would you insert Goldberg in the middle of this? Why would you bring him in instead? What kind of fucking universe does this dumb company live in? That is a better option than what I just laid out right there. Because that's a story. There'd be a reason to do all that. They wouldn't just be pulling it out of their ass. There would be an actual reason to go in that direction because they've already been going that way with Lashley and the New Day all the way up until now. And you'd put the New Day back together, which would be great. And you give Big E a chance to actually win the title and be champion. That would be so much better, wouldn't it? Am I crazy? So that's what I would do. So these reports of Goldberg, now with Big E winning the briefcase, is even more baffling because I'm like, is this company so up its own ass that the fans clearly would love nothing more than to see Big E win the title. They would pop harder for that than they would for a Goldberg entrance, at least in the real world, maybe not in Vince McMahon's mind. And they would appreciate that more. It would be rewarding a hell of a talent, a guy that's worked his ass off for nearly a decade in the company, paid his dues more than a few times, got himself over on his own, is beloved, respected by not only the fans, but everybody he works with. But no, Goldberg is the guy that we're going to bring in and give this opportunity to against Bobby Lashley. So here's what I would do. If you're going to insist on bringing that fool in here to face Lashley, just have Big E cash in on the both those fuckers at SummerSlam. Go in there. This shit's a triple threat now, and he wins or something. I don't know. But either way, I think Big E needs to win the title at SummerSlam somehow, whether it's a cash in or whether it's an actual match that he pre-announces. I don't know. It's like, now that you think about this fully, now that we know who the briefcase winners are, it makes the Goldberg news even more infuriating. It makes it even more infuriating that they're doing this. It's ridiculous. They got no business bringing Goldberg in when you got a story right there, primed and ready with the New Day, and you can have Big E coming in to be the one to shut Lashley up. But we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, that's that. Next up, we had the WWE Universal title match. Roman Reigns defending against Edge. This we knew was going to be a good one, and it was. I think it lived up to the hype. It gave me the match that I kind of was hoping we would see at WrestleMania, but it felt like the build to all of that was falling flat a little bit, and they inserted Daniel Bryan and took the match to a whole different direction. So this build, all of this felt much more natural between the two. Edge had a chip on his shoulder now. Edge was very focused, very aggressive, very vicious, and very much not intimidated by the stage or by Roman Reigns. Took it to him and was fearless throughout the whole thing. So the match was a slower paced match, which we felt like it would be. Roman took kind of early control and really kind of worked over Edge. Even a great simple spot where he's just got a chin lock on him on the mat. He's laying on the mat and he's got it in hard. Edge is telling a great story with his eyes. He's nearly passed out. He's cross-eyed, his lips all twisted, and he's in this hold. And Roman is just calmly talking to him in his ear. You're not going to beat me. I'm the fucking tribal chief, bitch. Or whatever he's saying to him was amazing. And he's just talking shit to him. This is so good. Everything that is going on here is just such a good picture, and it was awesome. So anyway, several comeback spots here. We had spears from both guys. I'm trying to remember offhand how a lot of this stuff went, but help me out here with the finish. How did we get that between Roman and Edge? Because there's so much going on with Seth Rollins and the Mysterios. I'm just trying to think of what came first. Basically, all night long, we knew we were going to get a ref bump. So I guess when that happened, that was annoying because the ref bump was so weak. Charles went down, but he just kind of got bumped. It wasn't even a accidental strike, or he didn't fall through the ropes to the floor. He just got bumped like you'd get bumped if you were walking in a mall and somebody just bumped shoulders with you. That's it. And then he hits the ropes and he's down for an hour and a half. So he goes down, and that's when all sorts of shit happens. Roman Reigns winds up getting speared through two barricades, I believe, on the outside. That was prior to the ref bump, I believe. And then when the referee is down, that's when the Usos come out there to try to help out, but they are eliminated by the Mysterios, who come out and make the save and run the Usos off before they really have a chance to get involved in the finish. And then Seth hops back in. Still some action going on in the ring. Heyman's freaking out. I know Edge goes out and gets the piece from the chair, and he does the deal on Roman, but there's no referee. And I think when he's got an STF on Roman, that's when Seth comes in the ring and gives Edge a kick to the head. Now, we talked about Seth because prior to the match, right after the Money in the Bank match, he was interviewed backstage, and Rollins is all pissed off about losing the match, and he's frustrated. He's like, God damn it, I don't care. Whoever wins the next match, I want next. So he's claiming that he wants a shot at the title next. So I'm like, okay, he really doesn't have that much of a reason to interfere if that's the case. If he just wants a shot against one of these guys, why is he going to run out there? And last week on SmackDown, or 2 nights ago on SmackDown, he told Edge that he was rooting for him, that he was hoping Edge would win the title because when he won the briefcase, that means he could cash in on him and finish what he started 7 years ago when he put his foot on Edge's head and threatened the match or whatever the fuck he did on Raw that time. So, in my mind, I'm like, he probably would prefer to face Edge than a very, very intimidating and strong Roman Reigns right now. Even though a lot of people brought up that Seth Rollins has a very good winning percentage over Roman Reigns. But still, this Roman's is pretty damn strong, and I think if I'm Seth Rollins, I'm picking Edge over that. So I didn't even think him coming in the ring to cost Edge made a whole lot of sense. So Edge has got Roman locked in the deal. There's no referee. So Rollins comes through the crowd, I think, over the barricade, gets in the ring, and just kicks Edge right in the head, breaking up the hold. And I'm like, okay, and then he leaves, but there's still no referee. So during all of this, even though he kicked Edge and stopped him from, wrenching back on Roman, it wasn't the finish. There was no ref there, no nothing. So there still is no ref there after Rollins interferes. So he goes, Edge winds up, I think, trying to recover, and Roman is really setting up a long spear. He's taking his time. He's waiting for Edge. He's measuring him. He does the big ooh-ah thing, but he's taking too long. And this is the ultimate opportunity. This is a veteran here, you idiot. So finally, when he goes for the spear, Edge is able to counter him, hit him with a spear, and you feel like that's going to be a finish. He's got Roman pinned. In comes a referee, 1-2, near fall. So he was so close to getting the title there, but he didn't. He fell short, and that's when Seth Rollins came back. So just when I was thinking that Rollins was going to be gone and his interference really wasn't going to be that much of a match coster because there was no referee anyway. So even if he didn't come out there, Edge still wasn't going to win the title because there was no referee. So Seth comes back again. It was very reminiscent of Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. He did 2 run-ins in that main event. He came out earlier, and then he came out at the end. And I think he hit Undertaker with like a top rope clothesline, and Sid, and it sent him into a tombstone from Taker. So it's kind of the same thing here. Seth comes back a second time, just enough distraction for Edge to be like, what are you doing here? Boom. Edge eats a spear. 1, 2, 3. Roman successfully defends the title, and Seth Rollins is still out there. He kind of has a stare down with Roman a little bit. Edge then attacks Seth Rollins. The two of them brawl. Big brawl on the outside, and Edge is going crazy. So there you go. There's your SummerSlam match. Seth Rollins versus Edge for sure, just like we predicted. So far, things are falling in line with the predictability. And then in the ring, that left Roman Reigns. So we're all watching. We're watching the reaction, and we're like, are they going to fade to black? Is this going to be it? This can't be it. We never got like the big, crazy fucking surprise. And a lot of people were speculating on Cena all day. So I felt like this could be a good place to bring him out. Big E doesn't feel right because Roman is one, and he's not like, I don't know if it's the best place for Big E. So I wasn't expecting him. But Cena, you felt like it could happen, but it looked like the pay-per-view was going to go off the air until Roman calls for the mic. I'm like, yes, he's calling for the mic. That means somebody's coming out. And whatever he says on the mic, something about acknowledging me, Cena's music hits. He comes out to the ring. Like I said, looked great, wearing all green, looked like Cena from 2012, wearing a John Deere and yellow green type of shit. Got that weird hairstyle, and comes out to the ring and just kind of salutes the fans a little bit. No promo, no words. He's just there, and the show goes off the air with him there. So the message there was when Roman was demanding that everybody acknowledge him, Cena came out and said, I guess that's not going to be so easy. And we're going to get some sort of confrontation, I guess, on Friday with those two, and it will probably confirm the SummerSlam match. So there you go. In all, I think, John Cena said he'll be out on Raw. Yeah, it's John Cena. Seth Rollins called out Cena because of the authority angle. I think that was when Seth turned. That means he must have been Money in the Bank, right, in 2014 when all that happened. Doesn't matter. But basically he said that to Edge, and he wanted to finish that. So I thought that would make a better opponent for him. But Cena now on Friday, you would think would do something with Roman, but I guess WWE wants to milk all of John that they can, and he's going to be on Raw tomorrow. So I did not catch that. Where did he say that? On the Twitters? What is up with my audience? Why is it so low? Jesus. Well, good. I mean, I just don't want them to overdo it, with John Cena. Well, I see nothing in his tweets, so I don't know where he said that, Barry, but I believe you. Sounds like he will be on Raw tomorrow, which is fine with me, I guess. But what's he going to do there? You're going to have Cena and Goldberg on Raw? Seems like he's out of place. But they probably want to capitalize on that. That's the problem when you run a big SmackDown angle to close a pay-per-view. You have to wait like a whole week until you can follow up on it, where if it's the deal, if it's Raw, it's a Raw match and it's a WWE title match or something like that, you can pick up right the next night. So they probably want just to give the crowd a little bit more Cena. So all the people that bought tickets to Raw tomorrow don't get left out, I guess. And it is weird that they're doing this match considering they've already done it. And even when Roman was a weaker character, he beat Cena. So shouldn't it be really easy for him to beat him now? You would think. So if Cena's just coming back in to put Roman over again, okay, no problem. But why? You could work somebody else. I don't know. I'm not against the match. It makes it interesting when Roman has got the acknowledge me shit going on. So there are certain stars and certain people in wrestling that aren't just going to so easily do that. So I'm glad in a lot of ways that match is happening. Victor Colon, did I get your $4.99 earlier? The only way I would be okay if Goldberg became WWE champ is if Big E cashed in right after and beat Goldberg and Big E leaves SummerSlam WWE champion. I kind of laid out something similar just a little while ago when we were talking about that. I kind of agree that would be something like that would be at least bearable. But why would they bring, because Goldberg's got 2 contracted matches per year apparently, unless he's secretly signed on for some more, hopefully not. Apparently he's got to do 2 matches a year through the end of next year. So if this is just a way for them to burn a match and get that contractual obligation out of the way, in their minds, maybe they think SummerSlam is a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big show, and Goldberg's a legend, and they just think that this is the better stage for him. And if he just comes in just to lose to Lashley or whatever, it just seems pointless. It seems all done due to his contract, and that's fucked up because it can take away other opportunities from other people like Big E. We just laid out the entire storyline for how you bring Big E to Raw. Kicking it off tomorrow with Lashley beating the hell out of Xavier and then beating the hell out of both guys after he's done beating the hell out of Xavier. And then Big E shows up and says, I'm here, I cash in right now, or I've got the briefcase, I'm Raw, I'm on Raw now, and I want a title shot at SummerSlam, something like that. There's a story there. It all makes sense. It would fit with what they're doing, but we're going to get the opposite of that. So we'll see. Tomorrow will be fun. We'll be doing a review. Oh, thanks, Barry. It's a video? Oh, here it is. Let's listen to this together. You want to hear it? He's already, you can't seeing us. Let me just turn the volume up so we can hear it.
You can't see me. You can see me. Money in the Bank shocked the world with so many surprises. So many of the WWE Universe have a litany of questions. Who, what, when, where, why, amongst others. Well, I'm not going to make you wait for answers. I am kicking off Monday Night Raw to tell you my motivation. And you're not going to want to miss it. Oh, by the way, if you're in the Dallas area, get your butt to Monday Night Raw to see it live.
Okay, you're very energetic. All right, so he's going to be on Raw. Okay, yeah, because they're in Dallas, so it's all in the same area. So you might as well have him on both shows and get more out of him, I guess. So that's why he's there. I think they're forcing it. I don't think he needs to be there, but they're putting him there because he's already there. So John Cena kicks off Raw tomorrow. We'll see what he has to say. Maybe Roman Reigns is there tomorrow. Maybe they just do something completely stupid and, and they bring out John Cena and they kick off the Roman and Cena storyline. They just do it tomorrow on Raw. They just do it. I know Roman is SmackDown, but fuck it. We don't care about the brand split. And they just do it all there and they kick it off there and they follow it up on Friday. Maybe. That could definitely happen. Maybe tomorrow will be a good Raw. Maybe. First Raw with fans. We'll see. That would be fun. I'm always a fan of the multiple teases. That seems to be better with a heel, unless it's if any babyface could get away with doing that, it would be Big E, because he's a fucking troll, man. He could have so much fun just messing with people. So Big E could actually make it fun and not make it annoying. But with heels, they can do that, like The Miz and, guys like that. They're so good at being douchey with the briefcase. But I think if a babyface attempted that and did so many teases, it's got to be the right babyface and the right personality doing something like that. And I think Big E would be perfect. Like I said, there got to be pancakes up in that briefcase on Friday. I hope they're in there and he throws them to us. Man. Please explain how Charlotte winning one for the 1 millionth time is good for the company. I don't think it's that deep. I wouldn't worry about it. She's always going to win. There's 9,000 titles in the company. She's going to be winning titles all the time, and it ain't going to stop, regardless of anybody's butt hurtness about it. It's the way it is. Good news is, I'm hoping our friend Nikki Cross is the one to beat Charlotte for the title, cashing in on her. Do that tomorrow. Burn a briefcase tomorrow. I thought for sure they'd do one tonight, and they didn't. So we never got it. Where are we at? There we go. I think now that they've got everybody back now, it feels like Brock, I almost couldn't see him showing up now. He doesn't feel like he would even be a part of this. So I think Brock is going to be after SummerSlam. I think Brock is going to be later this year, and Brock might be Rumble and Mania time. He might not be around unless he comes back right after SummerSlam or something, but I don't think he really fits in or is that needed, unless WWE just needs to bring in legends for shows. So maybe if they felt like Brock wasn't going to work out this year for SummerSlam, that's why they said, okay, we'll just use Goldberg. But in my mind, you didn't need to use either one of them. Cena's all you need. That's it. One legend is enough. Give it a rest already. So we will see what happens. But anyway, it's been a very long night of streaming. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now since we don't have a terribly huge audience anyway. But hopefully you guys can join me tomorrow night after Raw. Should be a really, really big show. So please tune in tomorrow. Immediately following the show, we will be up here live. I will post a link to that later on tomorrow. And for those of you who have been with me for the entirety of this live reaction and review, I appreciate your support and your longevity and hanging out with me for all these many hours. It was a lot of fun. We will do more of these. So you guys have a great rest of your evening, and I will catch you tomorrow immediately after Monday Night Raw. Y'all be good. Peace.